he is missing, and Maulana Ji was enthused by the education system of Turkey, China and Japan, where education was in the mother tongue. Germany. They didn't have to go through English. But the problem is, where are the curriculum? Books. He realized, and he was profoundly influenced by Munshi Zakaullah of Delhi College. Delhi College, that was shut down after the mutiny, was a center where the first teaching of science began in Urdu. I am giving you only one example, but there are other examples also. Urdu's first thing was by people like Munshi Zakaullah and others he copied. So point number one is that he emphasized on the mother tongue and also Sanskrit, Hindi and English to the extent possible. This was his counter reply to Macaulay, who wanted to produce a robotic people, a people obedient and people of a different mulk kind of use. The second principle was that he realized that in India, class and caste matter a lot. Even within other areas, they matter a lot. And there is a vicious grip of one class over education. Vicious grip. The entire education system, I'm giving you an example. If you look at Madras University for the first 50 years, 97% of them were Tamil Brahmins. Less than 2% of the population. That means in Chennai, the other Hindus in Madras University, the other Hindus also didn't get an opportunity. Dalit Palit chhodi. That was domination. Bengal maybe there was a lot of domination by the upper caste, and then this continued. So his thing was that education must be made universal. Universal. Our education budget was less than 1%. We treated for 10%, we have reached 3% somehow. God bless it, we have reached 3%. But, so democratic education, education as a right. So when in 2009, India adopted the Right to Education Act, education is not a favor that the state is giving me, it's my birthright. This policy seed was laid by Maulana Sahib because he did not consider, he knew that no democratic society can be democratic if the education system is aristocratic. You cannot have. Even within Muslims, Ashraf and other communicators, you know this has happened. So, and within the majority community it was very clear. I have given some examples. Now, and so the second principle was democratic education, right to education. Third was, he was far advanced in his time. He realized that women's education matters the most. Now the proof of it is Kerala. Irrespective of what religion you belong to, it's 100% education. And the moment 100% education reaches the three communities there, Christians, Hindus and Muslims, immediately birth rate falls, immediately health increases, immediately consciousness increases, immediately. And there is no revolution, and the sense that no society has been destroyed with 100% education. But to think ahead of its time and to talk of women's education all the time. The fourth point is his emphasis on science and technology. I have told you that his initial starting was science and technology. And he used to admire, I have seen for myself the madrasas of Samarkand, Bukhara, admiration की ये university से कितने लोग कहाँ तक फैले. These were the centers of thinking in Syria, in Central Asia, that today when we look at a madrasa, we think in different terms. कि बड़ा conservative education है. But in the wider world, it was a cradle of learning that taught the Greeks, taught the Europeans what is to be learned. Taught the Europeans. The Europeans had to learn a lot from what we call Arabic education and Middle Eastern education. So science and technology was advanced. As you know, subjects like algebra, even chemistry. Chemistry's roots lie in alchemy, and then it was taken over because Arabs did not practice empirical law making, scientific law. And he went on saying that the Quran Sharif tells us to know the Almighty and His creation. How do you know what the Almighty has, what creation He has, if you don't open up to science? That was his main thrust. The fifth point I have already touched upon, East and West. He said, East and West, आज तुम dominate कर रहे. You are telling me this is good. Where did your mathematics come from? Where did your basic science come from? Where did your astronomy come from? अब तो repackage करके polypack करके बता रहे हैं कि ये हमारी. You are now claiming intellectual superiority, intellectual property rights, मतलब बता रही. He was very clear that it was not a Tirangi monopoly. And next point that arises from there was he was never a fanatic. Never a fanatic. So he said universalism. What is it that we teach in, let us say, geography? We say we are in Calcutta, Calcutta is in West Bengal, West Bengal is in India, we have other places like China, Pakistan and others. So we start from the lowest unit of separation. He said, look at the globe, look at the earth, can you see the political lines? Within insan, the lines are all drawn later. So when you are teaching a subject, you please understand that universalism is what matters. Everything is universal, isn't it? Who is not scared of his wife? Anybody will put his hand up? So everything is universal. Love is universal, hatred is universal, music is universal. So this universal thing is what he stressed upon, that, and which means once you are universal, you are against narrow nationalism. Narrow nationalism. What is happening today is narrow nationalism. Those who did not participate in the national struggle, those who did not respect the national flag, are the biggest champions of nationalism. Where will you? So this narrow nationalism can come in only when there is no universal faith. Next is, he says that what is education for? He said that at the same time, national integration is a special task in India. Do you know what national integration means? We have सब भूल गए. What was Hindustan in 1947? बताइए. You open a map, Google it. It was 565 kingdoms. ठीक है? 565 kingdoms and 14 British provinces. ये क्या है? वो भोपाली है. भाई ग्वालियर ही. Bhopal is a separate country. Gwalior is a separate country. You understand? Every place had its own this thing. 565 small kingdoms with their own, false egos, own coins, own flags, and 14 major provinces. To integrate them, he said that my national education must emphasize on the commonalities. Farak to hai. Who can deny farak? Farak is not the issue. The question is, where are we common in Hindustan? Our history is common. Everything is common. Today Pakistan claims that Indus Valley was theirs. Indus Valley is not common civilization. Because the Indus Valley comes all the way up to people of UP. Indus Valley is a common civilization. सब कोई जानते नहीं कि पाकिस्तानी हैं क्या बनेंगे, बात की बात है. So this narrowness, national integration was essential because India had not seen so much bloodshed ever before. See, the problem is until you above the trigger, you really don't know what is lying inside. Nobody could believe that so much bloodshed is possible. And today some foolish man says, let us remind ourselves of the partition days. Now, so the national integration was essential, and today, if I tell you young boys and girls, and they ask their parents, and then they find out that they belonged actually to a separate kingdom, a separate princely state, they will not believe. They will say, I am from UP, that's all. I am from Bihar, I am from Bengal. कहाँ का state में क्या बात? So that is the obliteration of the fragmented identity in favor of a national identity. But as I said before, a national identity does not mean narrow nationalism. Narrow nationalism is the recourse that those who are not nationalists actually are. Everywhere, Pakistan, every state, those who are not truly nationalists take on excuses. Now, the next point in his education system was character building. He said, education is a gift you are acquiring. But where is your character? If you can't differentiate between what is just and what is unjust, what is truth and what is not truth, then where is your education? We have failed him on that account, and today the most popular education system is WhatsApp University. WhatsApp University, दो फोटो लगा देते एक साथ, उसे देखो क्या स्कूल क्या है, अभी इनको बात. So this sort of thing could come up only because we failed to control the difference between truth and untruth. I have only one answer. If somebody sends me something on WhatsApp, देखिए क्या क्या. I said, let the news come out in the mainstream paper कल, तब पढ़ लो. आपको भी मैं सुझाव करता हूँ कि when you get something on WhatsApp, whatever, you say let it come out in the mainstream. The mainstream में तो खुलासा हो गया ना. It has to come out. You have to face the audience. तब ये लोग नहीं करेंगे. Because what they are manufacturing is a concocted group of lies and exaggeration. Lies is also understandable, but much of it is exaggeration. That's all. That's all. So character building was his main aim. I have mentioned 8 principles on which his education system was based. But how did he implement them? Here, you have good ideas, is okay. How do you implement them? His implementation, number 1, was federal education. Education is common to both states, center, and whole of Hindustan. We can't compartmentalize. ये state है, ये center है, ये है. You can't do that. If you leave everything to the states can become narrow. So this competition that is being given, the biggest single enemy of the Indian federal system runs India today. Federalism is a partnership. Is a partnership between center and state. And I keep saying it's like husband and wife. You can't claim that my one will prevail. It's not possible. So here, his was the federal system of education where he set up his 2 layers. The second one emphasis was primary education. He used to call it elementary education. Elementary education. He set up the first committee called the BG Care Committee on Elementary Education. And BG Care Committee was the one that actually differentiated between the colonial system of elementary education that was decided by the Adams Committee. 100 साल पहले. Okay? And this was the most revolutionary step he could take. You see, it doesn't matter. You can't succeed in everything. I don't think I have succeeded in 1% also. If I look at the remaining 99%, my term failed.